Stand-ups are still happening. Sprint planning meetings, they still block calendars every few weeks. Retrospectives still end with, oh, we should communicate better. Jira boards are all still very busy. Some see this as evidence that Scrum is healthy and well. What if I told you it isn't? It's evidence of inertia. Now, in case you haven't figured out, I'm reading from an article because everyone knows how much I love, L-O-V-E, capital L-O-V-E, when I get Agile is dead, Scrum is dead, and I see it probably once every couple of weeks, once every 3 weeks. So we're going to dive in and see where this person is going with their Scrum is dead dissertation. Let's see where they take us. The market is voting quietly. If Scrum was still essential, the signals will be obvious, and they aren't. Pause. Okay. For those of you who don't know, I am a certified Scrum trainer. There are only less than 300 of us in the entire world, on the globe, on the planet. Here's what I know. Scrum is an agile delivery framework. I'm going to say that again. Scrum is an agile delivery framework. What does that mean? It means that while Scrum tries to say, we focus on delivering the best high-quality products and services and helping people achieve complicated business goals, what they fail to tell you is that there's a lot of inertia and things that need to happen before Scrum kicks in and after Scrum is complete in order for the whole process to work from end to end. That's the piece that's missing. And I think that too many people aren't seeing that piece of it. So let's see where he takes it. Scrum isn't just about delivery. It's about initiation and ideation. It's about discovery. It's about delivery, and it's about release. And Scrum doesn't fit in all four of those buckets, but Agile overwhelmingly does. Let's just see where this goes. Scrum Master roles are quietly disappearing from hiring plans. Job descriptions being merged, renamed, or removed altogether. Engineering managers are increasingly expected to just handle it. Let's pause. I'm not going to make it through this article very quick at this rate. Scrum Master roles are quietly disappearing from hiring plans. Facts! I've said this on January 1st. I said it on January 12th. It is true that the Scrum Master role is quietly disappearing, but it's not going away. I know it sounds weird, but the Agile Project Manager role is alive and well. People are eating it up. People are doing a fantastic job at it, and it's just incorporating some additional responsibilities and accountabilities. So I would argue that the role's not obsolete or disappearing. The role is shifting as it should with accountabilities. Continuing. Certifications still exist, but enthusiasm for collecting them has thinned out. Fewer software and project management professionals see them as career accelerators. Many see them as an expensive vocabulary lesson. Let's stop. Not only is that just incorrect, but it's insulting. This is clearly from someone who doesn't understand why certifications exist. So let's go into a couple of moments of detail about why we even do certifications. So I am a certified Scrum trainer, and I'm not here to tout and say, my certification's the best. It is, but that's not what I'm here to say. What I'm here to say is certifications have and always will be something in our community, in our world. And the reason why, it's much like obtaining a college degree. It doesn't prove that you're better than someone else, but it proves you put in the time, you put in the effort to achieve the certification. Now, what's most interesting about this accusation, if you will, is that I'm seeing the largest uptick in registrations for Scrum certifications than I ever have before. And I think a big part of that is that we're finally accepting that Scrum is not just, or Scrum is just a delivery piece, but there's more to it than that. That's the first thing. We need to start having a conversation around change management. That's the second thing. Same as product management. That's the third thing. And we also need to make sure that we have a clear understanding that even though we have evolution in these roles and things are changing, that AI is helping smooth out the landscape and make things easier for everyone. All of those things combined are what's happening in the landscape. I'll continue with the article just to see where it goes. But the real painful and uncomfortable truth is measured by the job market. Markets don't debate frameworks. They don't argue intent. They just move on. Fact. I have been on Indeed and on LinkedIn, and I'm seeing a lot of project manager positions or senior project manager or agile project manager positions. It's true. I'm seeing a lot of product manager positions. And if you scroll down a little bit, in the requirements, it says must be heavily familiar with Agile and Scrum advanced certifications. It does ask for the PMP in some, but the majority of those are asking for advanced Scrum certifications. And guess what? That's exactly what I'm seeing in the marketplace. But the other two things that no one's talking about are the change management credentials and the AI credentials that you need. If you get those things, it's going to turn you into a powerhouse. You need to pivot and adjust and can't just complain that the demand's not there, because the demand is absolutely there. I see it every day on job boards. But no, you must say that's not the impression I get from the mass number of content about Scrum. Doesn't all that content mean anything? That's right, there's no shortage of Scrum content on LinkedIn, on job boards, on everywhere. Quite the opposite, the volume has actually gone up. Every day brings a new diagram, a hot take, a maturity model, and reminders that Scrum isn't the problem, it's the way you implement it that's the problem. The irony, however, is hard to miss. A surprising number of the loudest voices preaching Scrum mastery do so with open to work banners on their profiles. That doesn't imply a lack of experience or intelligence. It does suggest the demand signal is weaker than the content volume would have you believe. Let's stop. The content volume is increasing because people are looking for people with these skill sets. That's why it's increasing, number one. Number two, the open to work banner, I haven't had one of those on my profile since 2000. I've been doing this for 26 years. What I can tell you is the people who survive are the people who roll with the innovation. The people who don't survive are the people who scream from the hilltops, it's going away. What do we do now? It's the new thing. The people who are screaming the loudest are the ones who are saying, the content's all just marketing. Those awesome stories of achievement and great results and value may not be true. I got news for you. We service 45 of the Fortune 100 companies. Every single one of the stories that we tell is true. And we have countless of them. You can go look. I don't make them up. People type them and put them on my Social Juice page. Go take a look yourself. This is real. This is really happening. The problem, so I'll give you the problem. The problem is the people who have been dogmatic and saying Scrum must be done this way. These are the ceremonies. These are the roles. Nothing shall ever change. We are moving in this direction. Those are the ones with the open for work pages. Those are the ones who are screaming on LinkedIn and on Medium and on other places. It's broken. Let's continue because I think you're finally going to get to the point of where I'm trying to take you. The article continues, what's striking isn't how loud the Scrum conversation has become, it's how static it is. Many of the vocal defenders of Scrum aren't evolving in their way of thinking. They're defending positions they've already chosen and built relevance around. The language stays the same, the practices stay the same, the advice stays the same. Story points are still taught as if they unlock predictability. Velocity is still spoken of as if it reflects progress. Sprint commitments are still framed as meaningful signals. Let's pause. I don't know how much longer I'm going to make it. This is going to be a 20-minute episode. People are out there, vocal defenders, as you call them. They're not evolving in their thinking, and you're absolutely right. But what if I threw you in that same category because it feels like that's where you're going with this? The language is changing. The titles are changing. The practices are changing. Everything's evolving, and it needs to. Story points, of course, they're beneficial if you know how to use them. If you understand the concept of relative complexity and you can adapt, story points are invaluable, and they really do help your organization settle down when it comes to all of the riffraff that goes along with story pointing and velocity. Velocity is spoken as if it reflects progress. It does. How about this? Not reflecting progress of increased or improved velocity. How about process of stabilization and of getting through the Tupman model of forming, storming, norming, performing? Those things are evident, and velocity is a great metric to measure to figure that out. Sprint commitments are framed as meaningful signals. They are meaningful signals. They're goals for crying out loud. And I think that there's a difference between a commitment and a goal. But I think the teams that are operating without sprint goals are missing the whole concept of why we're even doing Agile to begin with. I think that sometimes, and here we go. One of the things that mentioned in this article that I will make sure I pay special attention to, it says, a practice evolving out of Agile that promised to uncover better ways of working or better ways of developing software as if embalmed in a stuck timeline, Scrum is immutable. It's incomplete and can't be changed. You'd imagine progressive push to innovate the framework. But after countless updates to the Scrum Guide, only changes to the language have happened and not much else. Let's pause. The people who created the Scrum Guide, Dr. Jeff Sutherland and Ken Schwaber. I was personally trained and mentored by Ken, but it doesn't mean I'm a Scrum zealot. Where I'm going with this? By de facto. Why would they change everything in the Scrum Guide if they're the creators of Scrum and feel like it should have just stayed the same over time? I'm not saying they're right, but that's how they felt. What I'm saying is there are other innovative individuals, CEOs of companies like AgileDad, who are going in and creating new ways of doing things that tie back to the theory of what was taught in the Scrum Guide so that we can evolve and we can move forward and we can make progress. But some people are overlooking it and just saying, things never change. And you are seeing that, right? This is true. And I think this kind of wraps up my feelings about everything. So I'm going to close with this thought. It says Scrum didn't originate from academic research or empirical study. It emerged from case studies, success stories, and narratives. Pause. The document, the new product game from Takuchi and Nanaka, clearly disposes of this theory. There are many scientific studies from Gartner Research, from the Standish Group, from PMI, from Winston Royce, if you want to go back that far. My point is, there is a lot of scientific evidence that backs up why Agile works. And I think that if you settle down and look at what Scrum was in 2002 versus what it is today, you're going to see that leaders do think modularly and they do think about delivery a certain way. And that training is incredibly important, even if not for certification, to help teams engage and be on the same path. And that vocabulary lesson you talked about, I got news for you. One of the top 3 failures I see inside of organizations is that they fail to all be on the same page, marching towards the same goal. They fail to understand each other, and they're miscommunicating everything that's happening inside of the organization. I would argue that vocabulary plays a big part in helping people understand and gain logic and gain knowledge so that they can adapt it and make it something as a powerful tool to help them succeed. Obviously, I'm not going to say who the author was. This article was just beyond the pale. But that's going to do it for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, learn more at AgileDad.com. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time, do take care.